Just waiting for everybody to log in. I'm Michelle McGinty, Board President for Valley Leadership. We're waiting for a few more. Jump on. Michelle, let me know when I should officially kick off.
I think we're good. I think everyone's out of the waiting room for now.
Great. Okay, so welcome. We are very excited today to unveil the new programming for Valley Leadership. This is a intentional effort over 3+ years of research and due diligence to really kind of come up with the best of the best programming for today's marketplace, really, as Arizona has evolved, and then really kind of meeting everybody where we are at with all of the market changes that have gone on. Quickly, I'm going to kind of get a feel for everybody that is in the room, whether it is alumni, have you participated in Valley Leadership programs before? Are you new to the Valley Leadership? Any of those. And so basically a chat waterfall, which we love to. So class 40, and then everybody just kind of, 32. So great. A lot of alumni on here, which is fantastic. I love to see the class 5s, those ones down there too. So, and then obviously our Ready Together. I participated in that one too. Great. And then Laura from 32, best class ever, which is my class. So again, Michelle McGinty, Board President for Valley Leadership, class 32. Although our programs have evolved, we still like to maintain some of those pride pieces that are really kind of a part of the whole classes, but evolving to where it is that we're meeting leaders where they are today. So I'm going to turn it over to Dave for a little bit more of a preview and background.
Thank you, Michelle, and good seeing everyone. Lots of best classes ever in there, including class 1, Roy Miller. Thank you. I meet via alumni all the time, and I know there was some sort of contest between 32 and 33, where it was Angela Huey. Well, anyway, will tell you it was legally determined that class 33 was the best class ever. I think there's actually a document somewhere that certifies that. So I know my former board chair, Sarah Cranbill, will kick me for saying that, but Angela sold me on 33 being the best class ever. So I don't know if there's any 33s on there. So look forward to talking with you this afternoon. We're going to go through a couple of things, and then you'll hear from Michelle from our team. You'll also hear from 2 other board members who have been a part of this continued pivot. I know you guys have heard me say over and over again, pivot, impact, and all those sorts of things, but this is really the culmination of how we get to that pivot, how we activate that pivot for the next 40 years. And so we're gonna look at our mission and vision and see what brought us here, how we got here, really the why of why we're here. We're gonna look at the 3 new programs. And then we're going to have time for Q&A, lots of time for Q&A. I appreciate everybody who sent Q&A or questions beforehand. We'll kind of run through some of those so we get some of the common questions out of the way. And then we'll have time for some town hall with all of you. Again, very excited that you're able to join us to learn more about these programs. So if you remember back in 2017, because I remember, I was very appreciative and grateful that I was able to get the CEO position. Part of that process was surveying all of you and asking you, what is it we need to do at VL for the next 40 years? And many of you have heard me say over and over again, one quote from that survey and outreach was, the immense pool of talent, creativity, intelligence, and caring that exists in the VL network needs to be directed towards a major community effort. And I heard that spirit through and through when I first started over those first 3 months or so, and talked to over 150 of all of you to really get a sense of what's the spirit of VL. Not being an alumni myself, I didn't know about the network. And as I started getting to know the network, and what I just this morning told a new partner, those who can do for Arizona are either a VL alumni or one person removed from a VL network member. And thinking back to my first meeting with President Crow, who in President Crow's way, said, you guys are the only network out there that can do anything for this state. And he's absolutely right. We continue to be the network that can get things done. We are everywhere, which in a small state, now big state like Arizona, that's still in its kind of mid-life cycle, we have such an extraordinary opportunity to harness and capitalize on all that immense pool of talent, creativity, and intelligence and caring to do these major community efforts. So we recognize that we needed to pivot towards a system that allows all of you the opportunity to leverage that collective talent and make impact together on behalf of all of Arizona. And again, really looking at these long-term, most pressing issues facing Arizona, and how we do that intentionally and with collaboration so that we do have that long-term impact. So that's what set us up for really coming to this idea. Leadership is action. We view leadership as an activity, not something that maybe is a position or title. Sure, that comes along with it. But it's something that each of us can choose to practice. It's something that each of us can engage in some way, and we're happy that the Impact Maker has engaged over 150 of you over the last couple of years. But not just thinking about the Impact Maker as a way to engage you, but really to start thinking about how you become and continue to lead Arizona. For some of you that remember, I spent some time in Denver looking at Denver leadership, and our board at the time liked what they said about themselves. They said they're the DNA of Colorado. That's their alumni. And we really liked that because it was very much matching the spirit and network of Valley Leaderships, which is when you think about Arizona, you're thinking about our alumni and what we can do together. And so we started to think long and hard over the last few years about, well, what does that mean? And how do we continue to cultivate leadership based on action and based on the willingness to do for Arizona? And that's what's brought us here today. So we think about ourselves, and this is our official vision mission. We want to bring a broad spectrum of Arizonans together to work collaboratively as leaders and impact those most pressing issues. And each one of these words, as you've heard me say before, both in our mission and our vision, are very intentional. Some of you, back all the way to class 1, Valley, the part of that in our name. And now we're saying broad spectrum of Arizonans to work in collaboration as leaders to impact Arizona's most pressing issues. All these things were intentionally captured from all of your feedback over the years when we think about what Valley leadership can do and what we want to see. Again, we want to look out into Arizona and see individuals setting the example on leadership, that they are working together, that they are having that trust built within them and among them so that we can get lots of stuff done because Arizona does have pressing issues. As Arizona has grown, and being a native myself, I've seen the change just out where I live in Tempe. It's amazing. We're the 5th largest city now with Phoenix. The state continues to grow overall. Just driving today and seeing the number of people vaccinated, and I said, wait, is that many people live in the state? It was a 5-point-something million or whatever it was, and it was, yeah, we're a big state, and as a result, we have pressing issues, and who better to get working on those and helping solve those than this network that President Crow talked about being the one that can get it done. So how do we do that? We got to have the mindset. We got to have the right value system. And these all came from your mouths as alumni, our former men and women of the year, partners, funders, everybody chipped into these things that drive everything we do, that frame everything we do. We want to build trust. We want to have integrity with ourselves and as a collective and a collaborative. We want to have a team mindset. All of you that sit on impact maker teams, you know, we never call them committees or steering groups, they're teams. And that mindset part of that is important. Driven to do, you guys hear this all the time, we want to see things done. And then Arizona first. Let's not put someone else's politics or personal ambition or anything else front and center should be Arizona. And to have these guideposts really serve as the frame for all the things we do for our program, because we know each one of them is critical to making meaningful change, long-term change. We don't want to just try something, move on to the next. We're looking to solve. We've done many years as a state, as a country where we're serving. And over the last couple, 3 years, VL is in the board, have myself and the board have really done some thinking around how do we start positioning and using our network and our biggest asset to solve, which is not as easy. It's certainly not as gratifying because you got to wait so long to see results. But we feel like we're in a spot now with Arizona's growth that we can do that solve, and we can help those who are already leading on those many solutions. So let me go through these here. So we're building this leadership culture, and we realize our programs, what we call our strategic learning, has to really be the starting point for what we do in the strategic doing, the impact maker side. And so we've been working in great staff with Michelle and Bridget and Pearl as a consultant, everybody that's been a part of this, all our board members, many of you in conversations that we've had. How do we get the best leader possible into that strategic doing space, into that impact maker space? And so if that's the outcome we want, and again, this is part of that pivot. The outcome isn't a person who's gone through a program. The outcome is a person who's doing well in the strategic doing side, in the impact maker side. Let's walk that backwards and see, well, what do we need to do to prepare them? Who do we get to prepare? And why do we get them? So as we started thinking about our strategic learning programming, we wanted everything to specifically align to the doing that we're facilitating now, and really have a pipeline of leaders who are ready to mobilize and act. And that's why we get these programs that we're going to talk about here in a second with Michelle. Impact Maker, I can't thank all of our volunteer leaders enough. For those of you who have been paying attention and seeing our social media and everything else and newsletter, you know we're doing a lot. We have 7 teams now that over 2 years that have been set up. In not all the most pressing issues facing Arizona. I know arts and culture isn't in there. I know immigration isn't in there. Affordable housing is coming. But we really tried to do the best we could to get as many of you involved in this impact maker system. And we've had such tremendous success in all these areas. Again, by virtue of all of you. You guys are the ones that make this happen. You guys are the ones that lead on this. I can't thank our team leads, our team chairs, all of our volunteer leaders who are doing all sorts of great work in this space, and for free. At the end of the day, this is what our strategic learning, our programming. Wow, look at all these alumni who have come together and done all this great work. How do we make that as many multiples as possible? Because there's so much that we can accomplish if we have more in that pipeline. So again, this is informing what we want to do by setting up those program participants, the leadership development side, to funnel their knowledge and skills into ongoing work and have action. Again, leadership as an action, leadership as an activity. And to do that for not only immediate impact, but that systemic change that I was talking about, that long-term haul on those most pressing issues. So I'm going to hand it over to Paul Comedina, one of our board members, newer-ish board member. I think actually now you're going on year 3, Paul, so you're not that new anymore. Arizona native, spent some time in Southern California, and the weather was too good out there, so he decided to come back to Phoenix, and he's going to talk a little bit more about where we're headed before we hand it off to Michelle to get into some details.
Great. Thanks, Dave. And good morning. I think it's still good morning, everybody. Nice to be with you. As Dave mentioned, I'm a current board member and going to follow in Michelle's footsteps in the incoming board chair. And I couldn't be more delighted to be part of this organization. As Dave said, I was born and raised in Phoenix through high school, spent 17 years in Southern California and came back 3 years ago. And to be candid with you, I couldn't, when I came back, I wanted to be involved in the community. And Dave was one of the very first people that I reached out to. And I said, I'm new to town and I want to get involved. How can I help? And I could not be more fortunate to be part of this organization and the community that is VL. And as a non-alum, it's really been a great opportunity for me to meet many folks to the organization, but to also really think about how do we pay respect to what's been done, but also be mindful of the opportunities that lie ahead. And so what we've observed is that the needs of Arizona have evolved as we've grown larger, as Dave has mentioned, but so too has the population of people that desire to lead and desire to get involved. And it's from a lot of places that we haven't, in some cases we haven't historically seen. And so as a board, we've really had a lot of healthy debate and dialogue about how do we continue to evolve the programming that VL produces to answer that call and to provide the opportunity for as many people to get involved and lead this community as possible. And so we're really excited about this. We've tried to be very thoughtful and recognize that there's been a lot of great work done, but we also know that there's a lot of work to do ahead. And so this programming that we're about to kind of walk through is really an answer to that. And the last thing I would say is, we've also had the fortune or good fortune, depending on how you look at it, is we've just been through a pandemic for the last 14 months. And that has really illuminated a lot of the challenges, but also a lot of the opportunities for us to take advantage of. And so with that, I'll turn it over to walk through further programming. So again, great to be with everybody.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Castañeda, and I help to design and run our leadership development programming here at VL. So now I'm just going to kick us off by sharing with you the 3 programs that now make up our new program portfolio. And we are launching 3. So the first is Catalyze. That program is the one we're recruiting for right now. We're kicking off this fall. In 2022, we intend to launch both Explore and Summit. And so what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is just go through each one to give you some highlights of what those programs entail and what you can expect if you decide to join one of them. So first, we're going to start with Catalyze. This is really the starting point for people who are new to VL, and this program is going to give participants the space to learn about themselves, develop their leadership skills, and explore some of the most pressing issues facing our community. And perhaps most importantly, participants are going to end the program by creating a personal impact plan that really helps clarify for themselves what they want to do moving forward to put the new knowledge, the new skills, the new network they've gained to work. So the issues we explore and Catalyze are going to encompass several topics, which you see here, including social determinants of health, child well-being, education, and issues related to poverty. This program is comprised of 10 virtual sessions, which kick off in early September and wrap up in February. Each session will run for 3 hours and 15 minutes, and they'll occur every other week. So as a participant, you can expect to spend 1 to 1.5 hours prepping for each session so that we can really make the most of our time together. And throughout the program, participants are going to have multiple opportunities to socialize with each other, both in person as well as virtually. So if that sounds really exciting to you, and it's been a while since you've completed a VL program, Catalyze is a really great opportunity to both get updated on the state's current issues, as well as make some new connections. Explore is designed to help participants learn more about the great diversity of our state by traveling to various parts of Arizona and learning about how our most pressing issues show up in rural, urban, suburban, and Native communities. Participants will expand their perspectives, build knowledge on the issues, and have the time to really develop strong relationships with each other, as well as build connections in all corners of the state. Explore will include an introductory retreat that really lays the foundation for the program and the deep cohort relationships. It will include a final retreat that brings the experience together. And then there will be sessions in between that take the cohort to different parts of Arizona to explore those parts' uniqueness, while also interweaving personal development that's all aligned to the principles of doing. So we're continuing to finalize the details for Explore as we gear up for that program launch in the spring, but we can share that this is a cohort-based program that will consist of 5 to 7 sessions, most of which will include an overnight stay. Participants can expect to engage in up to 2 hours of preparation to ensure that each highly experiential in-person session is really robust and meaningful. As a VL alum, you are automatically eligible to join Explore when we roll that program out next spring. And our final program here is Summit. So Summit helps leaders deepen their understanding of a specific issue that has a tremendous impact on the state. It is our most flexible program, and it allows participants to start putting their knowledge to work right away, whether that's in their career, in the community, or an impact maker. Session options will include opportunities to get the most up-to-date information about the specific issue that we're exploring, to gain deeper background knowledge about the issue and its to-do items, and to allow impact maker participants to really determine how that new knowledge can be applied to the impact maker work. The design of Summit really allows for extreme flexibility. There isn't a cohort, so participants can really tap into whatever issue they want to engage with. The parts of the experience that I mentioned on the last slide can be offered and attended separately or all together. Because this isn't a cohort experience, the timing is really flexible in that an issue could be offered when it best makes sense, be that every year, every other year, or some other sequence. The model can also be used for Impact Maker to introduce learning for a topic that's being explored for a new impact team, or a to-do item to build knowledge and excitement for that item. And finally, the model really better allows for partnerships. So we are hoping to create opportunities to really team up with other organizations and collaborate on session design or session delivery. Ultimately, Summit is about allowing people to learn more deeply about an issue when it makes sense to do so. And just like Explore, being a Valley Leadership alum makes you eligible to join Summit when we roll that program out in 2022. So to sum it all up, anyone who is new to Valley Leadership can expect to start with Catalyze before joining Impact Maker or taking part in our other programs, Explore and Summit. Our VL alumni, however, are free to plug into any one of these programs, which might mean applying to Catalyze right now, waiting for the rollout of Explore or Summit in the spring, or joining an Impact Maker team. And at this point, I want to hand things over to our other board member, Karan, who's going to share a little bit about his perspective on how alumni can plug in.
Right. So Michelle, thank you so very much. Again, my name is Karan Hardiman. I'm also a board member, but also the Racial Justice Chair. And I'm really excited about talking with you all today about the impact that our alumni can have on this great work that we're driving. You know, when I think about and I look at the names on here, I see nothing but talent, creative, intellectual people on this particular call. And that's what we need to continue to move what we're trying to drive for Arizona, for our leaders, and to impact the greatest things here. And so when I think about you all, I think about how you all can play a great part in what we're driving in this space, right? A couple of things. One thing is get involved, right? You know, some of you all may not have been connected in a while. Some of you have been connected, but this is a great time, as you heard from Michelle, of the great opportunities to enter back into the flow of VL. Right. And I think that's where we want you to be, and we want you to continue to be connected. The other thing is continue to be an ambassador for VL and the great work that we're driving. This is new. Let's be frank, right? This is very, very new, but we're really, really excited because we really believe it's going to take our leadership here in Arizona to the next level, right? But we also need advocates and sponsors and champions just like you to continue to drive the impact of what Valley Leadership can bring to our leaders and to Arizona. Right. And then I really want to challenge you to really also to partner with the Impact Maker teams. Right. So we have the sessions and the leadership abilities, but also now we want you to do. Right. And that's where the Impact Maker team comes into play. I'm a class 37, didn't do too much after, and I'll be very candid. Right. But when I had the opportunity to connect with the Impact Maker team, I was asked to be the chair for racial justice. I do this on my day job, but it is so empowering and it's so exciting to see all the leaders that have come together to say, this is something that we want to drive for Arizona, right? And being able to participate and connect with some amazing individuals, those that I knew, those that I don't know, to be able to drive something to continue to impact the most pressing issues is such an amazing experience. And we want to offer that experience up to you as well. So please not only participate in the classes and the learnings, but also take that learning and let's do some amazing things for Arizona and provide a platform for us to continue to grow as a fast-pacing city. But we're also one that we want to bring diverse leaders into our organization, diverse leaders into our state, so we can really be an amazing place for people to come and want to stay. So again, participate in the classes, advocate for VL, right? And let's get connected, because that's what VL is really all about, is the connection. So with that said, I'm going to turn it back over to Dave.
Thank you, Karan. I'm actually going to just squeeze in right before Dave takes over. And just invite you all, if you are interested in learning more specifically about our Catalyze program, which again, we're recruiting for right now, I want to invite you to join us for one of our informational webinars. We have two. There's one coming up on Thursday, May 20th at 5:30, as well as Tuesday, June 15th at 6 p.m. Or if you prefer, you can come join us for an in-person reception to learn more. And that's happening Monday, June 7th at 6 p.m. You can RSVP to any one of those events on our website at valleyleadership.org/events. And with that, now I'm going to hand things over to Dave so he can take us into our Q&A portion.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Paul, Michelle, and Karan for all of your leadership and help, and all of our board members, both present and past, who have gotten Valley Leadership to be what it is today. Very grateful for your vision and your action when it comes to what we're going to do next. So we're going to do some Q&A. Some just quick kind of ground rules for what we, again, being town hall, we want to honor the town hall kind of model and think about how we can best do this. So lots of you are on the call or on the Zoom. Let me try and get to my rules here. Okay, logistical notes. We've received a few questions in advance, so thank you for those who submitted some questions in advance. I'm going to kick off by answering some of those. Once we've covered those, we're going to open the floor and treat this as a true town hall. So we ask that you raise your virtual hand, not your real hand, because there's so many on here that I won't be able to see who's who. But if you could raise your virtual hand, Zoom will ping me, and if not, Michelle will be able to let me know that someone's hand is raised. To raise your hand, you hit the participants button on your toolbar. You'll see a box pop up. Hit the raise hand button that appears at the bottom of that box. And we'll call on those who have raised their hands and hope to get through as many questions as possible. As respect to everybody, let's try and monitor your airtime so we can ensure that we're hearing from anybody and everyone who wants to share. So just to start us off, again, thank you for those who put together some questions for us. The first one that we've heard already, just in the last few days, is Institute. So obviously Institute's gone 41 years now. What does this mean as an Institute alum? Am I no longer able to rep my class? Not at all. All our alumni have a tradition of camaraderie. We love that. There's always class pride. I tell you, the lawyers had to get involved on which class was the best class ever. And we encourage this tradition. We want you to continue to welcome future alumni to the VL family in our network. But absolutely, whether you're Institute or Accelerate, before Accelerate, there was Advance, whether you're Valley Teen Leadership or Valley Leadership Youth. We've had a few programs over the last 41 years. Obviously, Institute is the flagship. And we absolutely want you to continue your tradition of that network and that cohort. Everybody I've ever talked to when it comes to Valley Leadership, they all point to the great social, personal connections they had with their cohort. And we want to absolutely keep that going as strong as possible as we welcome in new alumni. There are some elements of the VL Institute programming that are going to be in these new programs. Institute is the foundation for, again, 41 years of how we've empowered Arizonans. We want to continue to build on how we get people the new skills and experiences they need to be a great contributory member of the impact maker. Because Arizona's changing, we want to broaden perspectives on all the issues facing Arizona. Obviously, we want people to meet new people. As you have all seen, and we've just heard, the power of VL is in that connection. And so yes, absolutely, we'll be continuing those type of elements and components within all of the 3 new programs, so that we have that sense of camaraderie and strength. In addition to that, with our new programming, we can offer, we have more opportunities to engage with more flexibility, which is, again, something that COVID taught us is not everyone can take a whole Friday, for example, and take it off. Not everyone can afford $3,000. Not everyone can do it every month. And so as we started thinking about how can we get as many leaders as possible, when we think about back to our vision, a broad spectrum of Arizonans who are willing to do leadership as an activity, we started thinking through the Institute program may not be the most or the best optimized fit for that. And as people change and evolve, we figured, well, let's have our programs do the same. So foundationally, very much Institute is still a part of who we are. All of you who are Institute alum, very much a part of who we are. And as we start to go forward, we encourage you to find that new alumni that's coming out of Catalyze. You could be a Catalyze yourself. Great to see a couple of people in the chat who are alumni of both Institute and Ready Together. So absolutely encourage everybody to continue your Valley leadership journey as you consider these new classes. How can you as an alumni promote and recommend people for future programs? Word of mouth. I mean, this VL has such a brand and such a network that we would love your help spreading the word about all these opportunities. Logistically, following the event, you'll get an email with more information on how you can share information about Catalyze. That's the first one that's first up. We'll also include links to recommend people for Catalyze who you think would be great. Explore at the same time. We're going to hold off on Summit until we announce what the issue areas are. But for Catalyze and Explore, love to continue to start keeping that list and figuring out who's going to be a part of those cohorts. How many applicants will be accepted for each programming group? Our goal is to make the leadership development opportunities accessible to all. So because of that, we anticipate Catalyze will be our largest class. With Ready Together, again, all virtual statewide, we had 94 cohort members, but we don't know, given this is new programming, given people coming out of COVID, all the things that coming of the last 2 years, we're not exactly sure, and this is all new. So we'll have to see. With the Catalyze program, though, we will have each session of the class broken out into groups of no more than 75. And then we do a great job. Michelle does a fantastic job of podding people. You're in smaller groups for reflection work. You're in the same group for certain sessions. You're in different groups for others. So you do get to network, as I mentioned, or Michelle mentioned earlier. Catalyze will have 3 social opportunities in person to get to know your pod a little better face to face and in the flesh, also to start learning about your other classmates. So there'll be lots of times to continue to build those relationships that will last your lifetime. And then in addition to that, as we develop Explore and Summit, we'll have more ideas about what is that ideal group size so that we maximize both the Explore experience. We're not sending off hundreds of people into the state. And then same with Summit, we want to make sure that it's maximized and optimized as best as possible. And with Michelle and Bridget, we have the best brains working on that. Lastly, because this was a big one, the costs, as you guys have seen already, hopefully, and we can send things around. Accessibility and cost was a huge thing. And when we really looked at it, yes, we can offer scholarships, but at $3,000 for Institute, that sends a signal that maybe I have to earn more in order to be a part of this. And we did not want to see that. We wanted to see, again, as many leaders who are ready to be a part of that. Catalyze is very affordable, $200 as high as $750. It's all income-based sliding scale. So Catalyze, you'll pay no more than $750 and you could go as low as $200. Explore, similarly, $500 at the low end, $1,950 at the high end. Summit, $150 at the low end, $1,000 at the high end. All based on some bracket and data that we use to figure out where were the best cutoffs based on one-person household or 2 or more person household. We never want cost to be a barrier. We will have scholarships and continue to have scholarships, and wage replacement will be available, and we'll make that available to request as part of the application process. But we really felt like cost informed this a lot. The other thing that informed this pivot a lot was the ability to articulate, hey, I want to lead, but I don't sit on any boards, and I'm kind of mid-year in my career. Doesn't mean they don't want to lead. How can we figure out how we grab those people too? So the whole where you are in your career, absolutely, we want to know about it. And for each of these programs, you will have to apply. You will have to get in. It's still competitive. But we also want to see people who, I've been a single mom for 20 years, and I want to get into some community work, but I don't sit on any boards and I haven't climbed the corporate ladder, but I am willing to do. You're in. Again, assuming you apply and you align with what our principles of doing are about, you're in. So that's really where these kind of bigger shifts happened and the why they happen. The last question, and then we'll get to the live Q&A here. Programs we'll partner with, as you all know, we work with everybody under the sun. They know it better than us. And so, yeah, part of our outreach to the community to get our leaders to learn will be through our programming and the speakers that show up and those who help us think through what the topics and ideas and the topics will be, all the way to how we act in the impact maker. For those of you that sit on the impact maker, what we call our strategic partners. These are community based. These are the groups that are getting it done that we partner with to make sure we're a helpful contribution to what they're working on. So those are kind of the overview questions. And now I think probably with Michelle's help, because I'm not gonna. Okay, Marley, I understand. You're the first one up. I made the first one work, Michelle. Go ahead, Marley.
Thanks, Dave. First of all, I just wanted to say congratulations, and I'm excited about the programs that you're launching and the structure by which there's some virtual component, the in-person, the cohorts. It's great, and you need to keep that because it makes such a huge difference. You actually answered most of my questions that I had, but one I think that I just want a little more clarity on, and that was, what's the process for selection?
Yes, great question. Thank you. And I may lean a little bit on Bridget here, because Bridget, again, brought some academic and evidence-based thinking to how we select, and not really thinking, what are the questions we could ask somebody where an answer we could get could be measured. Because again, we want to align as all the applicants apples to apples. And so that started with class 41 in Marley. You made that cut, congratulations. But it was really something around, what are the indicators of doing? What are the indicators of having an open mind when it comes to how we approach issues? What are the indicators of civility? What are the indicators of seeing past yourself and thinking about what can I be doing for the community? So yes, there are questions associated with each of these programs. Catalyze, I believe, only has 3, but they're questions of substance. And Michelle and Bridget have done a great job assigning rigorous rubric to each so that we know what's a good answer and what's an answer that struggles. So that there is, again, this isn't anybody gets in. This is still competitive. It's still one where we want to see those questions answered in a way that fits into that philosophy of our principles of doing and what we want to do when we think back to our vision, setting the example on leadership. Anyone that goes through any of the programs historically has done that, and going forward, we want to maintain that. And so our questions will relate to that. Selection will be based on responses and scoring of those responses but by both staff and board members. They're the ones that are going to be doing the scoring. For Catalyze, there will not be an in-person interview. I know for Institute there was. When we get into Explore and when we get into Summit, there may be, but right now for Catalyze, it will be scored by board and staff. And Bridget, I don't know if you want to add anything to that question.
I think you've probably said most of what I would have probably said. I think the major aspect of the application itself for Catalyze, at least, are those 3 questions that are really grounded in our principles of doing: integrity, building trust, team mindset, Arizona first, and driven to do. And those are evaluated by multiple reviewers. Catalyze, like Dave mentioned, does not have an interview, which was, standard for what institute experienced those applicants, but not for Accelerate. And so we decided Catalyze, we actually don't need that interview process. And in fact, when we think and talk about broad spectrum, that process itself could cause some people to shy away that we may want to be part of Catalyze. As far as Explore and Summit goes, those are to be determined. So we are considering, as we're building out the curriculum, what the process really should be in order to ensure that we're getting folks that are part of that group that, as well as being aligned to what it is that we're all about, also together create an experience where people can learn from one another as well.
Thank you, Marley. Others, and again, feel free to raise your digital hand. I'm not seeing anybody, so if you want to just throw yourself off mute and ask a question, please do. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, we will make the PowerPoint available after. We'll send that out to everybody. Any other questions? All of you are hungry for lunch, it seems.
It looks like Melanie's hand is up.
Is that Melanie Byrne? I can't see Melanie, but go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Dave. Thanks for this. I am completely impressed with what you all have put together. This is truly transformational, and I'm proud to be affiliated with VL and to see where you guys are taking it. My one question stems from how the impact maker teams will interact from this moment going forward. I understand once the summit is a bit more stood up that there's obvious interplay, but how in the interim will the impact teams be working with the other participants?
And I will actually throw that one over to Bridget and Michelle.
So hopefully, and Melanie, let me know if, in the way that we're answering it, we're not actually getting to your question, but I think there's two pieces. So the first being, like how do participants of any of the programs get involved with Impact Maker? And then the second piece being, as far as like the content of the programs itself, how does Impact Maker and the issues and to-do items interact there? With the first piece, Catalyze is meant to be that kind of entry point into getting involved with Impact Maker. And so it will actually look similar to what it looked like for Ready Together this year, in that, and actually instead of Catalyze kind of ending and then the Impact Maker matching or onboarding happening as we experience this year, it'll actually happen the session before the last session of Catalyze, so that people experiencing Catalyze have that opportunity to really learn in depth about what they might be interested in with Impact Maker before having that final day where all of the pieces are coming together. Now, before that, in the actual content of Catalyze, what we're doing in Impact Maker will be woven into the curriculum of Catalyze. And so it'll live out there too. So they're not just learning on that one day, they're kind of getting an understanding throughout. With Summit, as you mentioned, the topics that we have will be very closely intertwined with what we're doing in Impact Maker, whether that's an active team or perhaps a team that we're thinking about getting on board, so that kind of that learning is starting while we're starting up a new issue or impact team or to-do item. So on the curriculum side, that's what I'd say there. I guess I've kind of answered both, but as far as people getting engaged, that catalyzes that main entry point. And obviously anybody who's part of Explore or Summit would already have either gone through any of our previous programs or Catalyze, and therefore would be eligible to be, on a team for Impact Maker. But as far as that kind of conscious bringing in, there'll be that kind of intentional matching or onboarding that happens toward the end of Catalyze. Michelle, anything you'd add there?
No, I think you did a great job.
Thank you very much.
And Dave, Laura Eder just asked a question about networking events there in the chat.
Yes, I saw it. Thank you, Laura. One of our 4 organizational values, equity, diversity and inclusion, partnerships, history, and the 4th one is fun. And we continue to make that part of who we are as an organization. So I'm going to hand this over to Sarah, who's going to give you a little kind of sneak peek almost on where we are, where we're thinking with alumni events and social opportunities, because there will be those opportunities.
Hey everyone, yes, we're excited to, now that we're in a space that we can look at how we can begin to welcome people back to in-person events. We're hoping that we can relaunch with Man and Woman of the Year later this fall. And then we hope to have some alumni engagement opportunities in the spring as well, with a reunion happy hour and bringing you all together around Impact Maker. And so more to come soon.
Stay tuned. We're doing a little reimagining with how we do that. Again, COVID has taught us lots of things. For those of you that were able to see our virtual event for Man and Woman back in October, 1, it's less expensive. 2, pretty engaging. You guys did a great job chatting it up in the chat when we were going through it, and both a recorded and live kind of format. So always exploring how we do that and getting you guys together. We know that you and each other together is great. Throw in some alcohol, and we can solve not only Arizona's problems, but the world's as well. So absolutely fun will be involved. I see the question from Laura. How will you work with organizations already doing work in the community so you're not duplicating efforts? Absolutely, and amen. The whole one of the foundational points of the Impact Maker and all its teams is that we don't duplicate efforts. We don't replicate. We look first to where it's being done and see how we can be helpful there. That continues to be an always present for all the teams in everything they do. And we see it all the time across all 7 impact teams, that where the work is being done by our strategic partners, that's where we want to lead and lean into. I don't know, before I call on her, I don't want to make sure she's there still. Erin Hart, are you still on? Doesn't look like Erin's here still. I was going to call on our education impact team chair to give some examples.
Dave, I can share if that's okay.
Yeah, please, Karan.
Yeah, sure. So as the chair of the racial justice team, fairly new, we're just launched, but to your point, one of the first things that we're actually doing is doing a landscape of what is going on in the space in Arizona when it comes to racial justice, right? We have 3 particular areas that we're focusing on, and we broke up the teams to identify what is going on, who is doing what level, so that we are not duplicating, so we can come back and figure out kind of where we are, where's the North Star that we're going to go, what is the gap areas, are there anybody that are aligned to those gap areas, and if they are, how can we partner? If they're not, that's an opportunity for us to build, right? And so again, this is, the Impact Maker is not just about VL running things. That is not what it is. It truly is about partnering with our strategic partners, because a lot of them have the thought leadership, they have the expertise, and all we want to do is partner so that we can really accomplish what we want to. So to your point, there are times where we will build, but there's definitely a lot of opportunity for us to partner with our strategic sponsors and partners.
Any other questions virtually, or if you just want to throw yourself off mute as I scan here, looking for the blue hand. I don't see. Oh. Deborah, I'm not sure I understand the format of the 3rd program option, the non-cohort. Michelle or Bridget? And this is for Summit.
So it makes sense that you may not completely understand the format. So those last 2 programs are actually still in development, and Explore is a little bit easier to explain because there's more of a framework there. But essentially for the last one, we're still trying to decide what the format looks like to really get at those end goals. But essentially, like if we think about education, for example, and we have folks who are really wanting to dive deep and learn and understand, we're trying to identify how do we essentially like get folks kind of caught up on what it is that they need to know to really fully engage with the issue, number one. But we also understand that there may be some people year over year who already have that background. And so we want to have that flexibility so it doesn't feel like everyone's repeating that information. Number two, have an experience that really takes people deeper into whatever it may be we are focusing on within that issue. So I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, but I can't right now, but something that's more experiential where really people kind of get their hands on a little bit more. And then the third kind of aspect to it is how do we actually take this learning and this experience and turn it into how we actually incorporate that into doing. And so there'll be an aspect of that too. I realize Deborah, that might not make it sound any less nebulous. But right now we're trying to determine what does that structure actually look like to make that work. I have a few ideas in mind, but we're really still talking through the details of what that would look like. And so it could be something that's spread over 3 days or so. It could be something where somebody, you know, like I said, may already have this first piece from their prior experience and may want to dig in deeper just to part 2 or part 3. You know, there may be something that's specific to anybody who's engaging an impact maker when it comes into translating to doing. So kind of still working on how to turn the idea into what the formal structure looks like. Dave, would you add anything to that I haven't shared?
I just, for those of you who are Institute alum, and I don't want to, we're not going to box it in like this, but it's maybe similar in some ways to what Institute program days might have been, but in more in depth. The part of the summit program we like too is because, you know, you guys are leaders for your whole life, which is a long time. Education 10 years ago when you were in a class may look different than 10 years later when you want to engage. Do summit, get deeper into what education feels and looks like now, and you're ready to have that. So it's also an opportunity to catch up and see where are we in different ways. Those of you in the education space probably could argue both ways, whether we're in the same spot 10 years ago or in a different spot. But the idea is that there's an opportunity for you to engage deeper with those issues, again, based on where you are. The whole point of the strategic learning opportunities is that they're evergreen and always available for you, so that when you left Catalyze in 2021 and you were all fired up about child well-being and you joined the child well-being team and you spent 5 years on that, you know, got a different job, moved, came back, and now you want to do education, jump into the summit education and you'll be able to catch up on what's going on in that space deeper for you to then go make your impact and mark in that space. So it will be, the format's a little TBD, but the idea is that whenever you're ready to get deep into an issue, kind of like an intensive, it'll be available for you.
Okay, thanks.
If you think about like Accelerate or Institute for, I mean, actually any of the programs Ready Together, anything that you may have experienced, it's like, there's probably some issue you engaged with that you were like, I wish like there were multiple days on this. And that would be kind of that opportunity for it.
I appreciate the explanation. It occurs to me that people who are seeking elected office or people who are already elected and have staffers that need to learn more about these topics, we should like offer them a freebie, you know, have them come in and get all the information so they get real information from real experts.
You're talking about the dream there, Deborah. We would love to see all leaders, politically elected, appointed or not, go through VL, because again, what you walk away with is exactly that. So, and even through Catalyze, we actually have had some conversations with the Morrison Institute. They run a legislative academy and they just hired someone new, thinking about how they inform all those incoming legislators on the issues of the day. And so, yes, lots of opportunity there. Well, we are at 60 minutes. And so I don't want to eat into too much of your lunchtime, but I do want to give a quick opportunity to Paul, Michelle, and Karan for any final thoughts, and give everybody a minute or so to think of one last question. Paul, Michelle, Karan, anything you'd like to add for the end note here?
I'll just go. I'm just really excited about where we're going from an organization perspective, but just from an Arizona perspective, right? When I think about, I always have the lens of diversity and inclusion. When I think about how our state is starting to become more diverse, and as leadership is in action and leadership is something that continually is about growth, right? I think this is what we just need to do. And I'm excited about us taking the stance to say we have to continue to be agile. And I think this is where we need to go and where it's going to really impact us the most. So again, I encourage every last one of you to get involved in a variety of different entry points that we discussed today. And I'm looking forward to connecting with each one of you as well, because that's one of the things I learned from my VLA experience is the connection is priceless. So let's continue to connect.
Yeah. And from my perspective too, involved in this organization for many, many years. And as I'm transitioning off of the board, I'm very excited to see the pivot kind of really come together. And I know we're not supposed to use that word anymore, and really kind of excited to be able to move forward past that. And really the whole concept of all of this is that anybody who wants to lead now can. And so that really is, just the opportunities for, all of the people moving to Arizona and the state to really kind of get involved. And so it's an exciting time for the organization.
Yeah, the last thing I would say is, our state, our country needs more leaders like all of you on this line. And this evolved programming is really meant to develop more of you, right? To really make the significant change in our communities that we need. And, based on some of the feedback we've heard prior to this and some of the comments in the chat box, I couldn't be more excited about where we're headed. So we appreciate everyone's time and your partnership and really making this a success going forward, and look forward to seeing you at a future event.
Well, thank you, Paul, Michelle, and Karan. I also want to thank my staff, not my staff, the VL staff, Michelle, Sarah, Bridget, Bailey, small and mighty and super, super smart. We have lots of thoughtful thinking going into this for the last several years. As you've heard me say many times, strategic plans, I love them. You have to have them. We have a great board who's helped think those big items through over the last few years, and a great staff who's executing on all of it. So the future is bright, and I appreciate all of you getting involved any way you can. And I will look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.